Peace, everybody. Welcome to Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch, and today we're going to be talking about this Saturday night, Sunday afternoon for those on the other side of the world, but the fight for the undisputed lightweight championship going down in Australia between George Kambosos Jr. and Devin Haney. This one is for all the marbles, so like all of the major sanctioning bodies are owned by these two gentlemen. WBC is a little murky as far as who is the real champ because of, boxing politics, and we're not going to get into that. We're just going to talk about the skills and how we think that those skills are going to mesh out between each other in the ring. Skip all that other stuff. So hopefully you enjoy what you see in this video. Make sure you like and subscribe if you have not done so. And if you have, join us in the comment section to make sure, you let us know what you think about the fight and how you think it's going to go, whether you agree or disagree and why. So let's get into it. So we got Kambosos, who is coming off the win against Teofimo Lopez, a fight that not many people really gave him a lot of shot to win. However, he went in there and he did his thing, and he came off the victor of that fight. And pretty impressively, might I add. He was able to do some really good things in that fight that a lot of people didn't see coming, present company included. Watching Kambosos' fights, I saw somebody who had a little bit of speed, looked a little raw, but wasn't really ready for the big time. And he proved a lot of people wrong. There were a lot of people who were rooting for him just because of how much they hated Teofimo Lopez. But, that's neither here nor there. That's their opinion to which they're entitled. But Kambosos, he has some pretty decent hand speed, actually. He can get his punches where they need to be when they need to be there. He's not like a lightning quick fighter, say like a Lomachenko or a Tank Davis or even a Devin Haney. He's not one of those guys, but he's got really good timing. He can catch people when others could not, even faster fighters. So he has the ability to get there and know when to throw his punches so they will get there. Now, against some of his more recent opponents, some of whom are a little bit better in moving and cutting angles and things like that, he had some trouble. He had some trouble fighting Mickey Bay. He had some trouble fighting Lee Selby. And also, he's pretty hittable himself. One of the things that, going into the Lopez fight, thinking, it was only a matter of time before Lopez landed something and got him out of there. However, he landed something, he dropped him, Kambosos got up and proceeded to win some more rounds. That is an intangible that, you have to see when that person gets onto that big stage and really find out what they're made of. And we found out that this guy is made up of a lot of grit and determination. Now, let's talk about Devin Haney, who is also someone who has shown some grit and determination through some adversity in his fights, and also has a lot of physical and technical skills. He can move around the ring really well. He can place his punches well. He can use speed and timing to get his punches off. And he's also pretty technically sound. He keeps his hands at home when they need to be there. He can duck, he can swim, he can move out of the way of punches. And that's going to be important in this fight. However, we've seen when the fights get a little later on that defense gets a little leaky, which, to be fair, happens to a lot of fighters because, fatigue starts setting in and those fundamentals kind of lessen just a little bit. So it's there. He was hurt versus Linares. Diaz started to get into the fight later on. However, I think he did do a lot better versus Diaz. But Haney is somebody who can throw combinations. He can sharpshoot. He can work off his jab. He can throw to the body. However, both of these guys are not really known to be power punchers. Neither one of them are blowing the doors off. They're not sleeping you with one punch. I want to say that they're both in the 50, like the right at 50% range for their knockout ratios. Kambosos is 20-0 with 10 knockouts, and Haney I think is 26-0 with 15 knockouts. So they're pretty close, in that 50% range. So how do we think this is going to play out in the ring? Now, there have been some developments since, the weigh-in and things like that, which is, a new development for pretty much kind of thinking how this fight's going to go. Now, Kambosos came in overweight. Granted, it was 0.36 of a pound. That still is, could be telling, but he did end up making the weight and came in much lower than the 135-pound limit. He was 134 and some change. So maybe thinking that the preparation wasn't 100%. That could have just been, error on the calculations of how they strategically make weight. That could have been a sign of a struggle to make weight, maybe through all the press obligations. We really won't know. I didn't think he looked that great on the scale. However, when we're talking weigh-ins, they're pretty much draining themselves down to as low as they can go to make this weight, and then they hydrate back up. So on the body, that's not great, but for the sake of getting to that weight, it's a science that's been done for a little over a century now. With all the weigh-ins and all the different weight classes, and this sport being around for a while with the weight classes. And you also got kickboxing, MMA, other sports where you have to make weight. They pretty much do the same thing. So when they get in the ring, Kambosos is a slightly taller than Haney, but Haney has a significant reach advantage. So he's going to have to use that to keep Kambosos at bay. He's going to have to use those that footwork to keep him unsure of how to attack, and when he does attack, missing very widely. A lot of people have made a lot of it's a major talking point that this fight is happening in Kambosos' home country of Australia, where those fans are very, very vocal. They're a lot more invested into their fighters, unlike here in the United States. You don't get that same type of excitement for most American fighters. You don't really see the crowd going crazy just because they're throwing a punch, and even coming close to landing, they're going crazy, and you don't really see that here in the States, and that could sway the judges. They could actually, be able to see and be like, okay, no, he didn't hit that. He didn't land that punch. But that deafening crowd can affect you. It can affect Haney maybe. Maybe he wants to silence them. Maybe Kambosos wants to spur them on even more. So that crowd element is important. But as far as how I think the fight's going to go, I see a fight similar to not necessarily the Linares fight, but where Haney is banking rounds and he's outboxing Kambosos. Kambosos knows how to keep a fight close. He can stay in your face. He's in front of you. His footwork is good enough to where he can kind of keep you in front of you for a while. But I think that Haney should really try to make him miss wide and not really block a lot of shots until maybe later on in the fight when, you know, he's a little bit slower and wants to settle down a bit. So Haney's going to bank a lot of those early rounds. But like I was saying earlier, he tends to get hit later on in the fight. And I could see Kambosos at least hurting him in those mid to late rounds and making it really, really tough in there for Devin. Whether he can get the stoppage or not, I'm no longer sure. Originally, I was thinking that he could do it. I was thinking Kambosos could get the stoppage, but I don't know if that's going to be the case now. Like, in order to really, like, we've seen Haney hurt, but in order to, like, finish him, you probably are going to have to be a more concussive puncher in order to make that happen. But I do think Kambosos is going to slip something in there that's going to get Haney's attention late in that fight. And it's going to get our attention because we're going to see the way Haney reacts to it. But, and I've flopped a few times on this, but now I'm thinking that Haney gets the decision. I'm thinking it's going to be a close fight, though, and one of those clear but close decisions for Haney. He is the betting favorite as far as I believe, and his skill set looks to be the superior skill set between these two fighters. So that wouldn't be a crazy assumption that he wins this fight. Kambosos also, like, if you're picking him, what do you think that you see in Haney? Is it something that I described as well? Thinking, him being able to be hit later on in the fights. Do you think that Kambosos can get that stoppage or at least knock him down to make those scorecards a little bit even? And if Haney is if he's able to keep those rounds close in the beginning of the fight, we may get like a split decision or a majority decision type of fight here, especially if we get a knockdown. So let me know what you all think. Hit us up in the comment section below. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all Capital of Combat. And stay tuned for the recap. If you haven't, we did talk about the Tank Davis, Rolly Romero fight that happened the previous weekend. We will have a video for the Donea Inoue fight. Also this weekend, it got Stephen Fulton versus Daniel Roman. And there's also mixed martial arts. They got a UFC card on this weekend. And I think they've got a card on for maybe the next 8 to 10 weeks, which is really cool. So we'll definitely get into a few of those as well. So like I said, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that bell icon so you can get all the updates when we upload our videos. And we'll see you in the next video. Till then, fight on.
This is round one, and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and gone. My fists are on fire. I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage. Keep thinking that it's a game. I kick rhyme, hurricane. I told them I don't play. I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.